Imagine getting paid just for sharing your thoughts on products and services you use every day. With Survey Junkie, it's that simple. Click on the link in the video description to discover how you can start earning today by taking surveys.
Emmanuel Macron will support a proposed ban on the use of smartphones for under 11s and social media for under 15s across France. It emerged last night. The French president is backing the proposals made in a report earlier this year by a panel of experts commissioned by the Élysée Palace amid growing concern over the negative effects of tech and social media use on children and teenagers. Macron entered the issue into his presidential agenda at the beginning of the year amid sagging approval ratings. But there is no word on how such a blanket ban would be implemented, with lawmakers now set to decide which apps will qualify for the ban and to hash out the finer details of bringing the recommended measures to bear. The expert panel, which was led by neurologist Sylvain Mouton and psychiatry professor Amine Benyamina, and also included education, law and tech experts, delivered its findings to Macron in April. It recommended that all children under the age of 11 must not be permitted to use a smartphone, and must not be given a smartphone with access to the internet before age 13. Social media apps should be forbidden for anyone under 15, they added, and minors over 15 should only have access to platforms deemed ethical, though the report did not specify which platforms would be excluded from such restrictions. There is currently no timeline for new legislation, and it is unclear to what extent it would follow the experts' recommendations. The group said any future moves should focus on tightening rules for tech companies. Those are the ones who are primarily responsible, Mouton told a news briefing back in April. The way in which such a ban would be implemented remains unclear, with commentators divided on whether app makers and tech companies would be compelled to build in age restrictions into their applications, or whether parents would bear responsibility for enforcing the ban at home. Some tools for limiting screen time and runtime on social media applications are already built into most smartphones, but these limits can be changed by the user at any time. This has sparked questions over whether the French government will seek to introduce legislation obligating tech companies to enable some kind of age verification tool. Olivier Ertzguide, a lecturer in information and communication sciences, told AFP in January that the key questions center around the legal basis and social acceptability of such an obligation. This type of measure would be unprecedented in a democratic European country, he added. But there is a battery of evidence to suggest that young people's mental health is adversely impacted by social media use. A UCL study published earlier this month found that the addictive nature of social media platforms rewires teenagers' brains and may make them more likely to engage in other addictive behavior. The findings, published in the journal PLOS Mental Health, indicate that internet addiction is associated with disrupted signaling in the regions of the brain involved in multiple neural networks. Their study, which reviewed 12 separate neuroimaging studies of adolescents displaying heavy internet use, found that when internet-addicted teens engaged in activities governed by the brain's executive control network, such as behavior requiring attention, planning, decision-making, and especially impulsivity, those brain regions showed a significant disruption in their ability to work together. Study co-author Max Chong said, "These networks play an important role in controlling our attention, in association with intellectual ability, working memory, physical coordination, and emotional processing, all of which in turn have an impact on mental health." Given that adolescent brains are more capable of changing than those of adults, understanding the effects of internet addiction on the brain and behavior is vital for society as a whole.